I suppose I would feel uncomfortable doing that, yeah.
Would feel uncomfortable. Okay, let's analyse what we've done here.
Yeah.
We've got two groups. We've said it's justified to do that to them because they lack this ability. But then we take the ability away from that group as well, but it's still not okay. So to me, it seems like maybe that's not the difference, or maybe there's other differences on top of it that would make it justified for them. Hiya.
Hello.
What's your name?
Corin.
Corin. My name's Elle.
Nice to meet you.
So today what we're doing is we're doing a social experiment of a sliding scale, seeing where you're at in your belief system.
Okay.
And then seeing if actions align with those beliefs.
Okay.
So number one we have here, so other animals. You believe they are individuals, you believe they have their own personalities, and that they should be morally considered in the way we behave, right? And then number 10 is plainly other animals are ours to use.
Sure.
So where would you put yourself on that scale?
It's tricky because I think it depends on the animal.
I
think if we're talking about a dog, it's probably more towards that end.
Okay.
If we're talking like phytoplankton, it's probably more
like
towards...
phytoplankton.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so I would say when we're talking about like animals, so if we can make it easier then,
Yeah.
so like say a sentient animal, because it would only apply if you believe they are sentient, that they're having an experience,
Yes.
right? So, where would you put yourself if we're assuming we're talking about ones who do have an experience?
Yeah, I would say probably maybe around here.
Here, so you're closer to the concept of I should morally consider them, basically. Yes. Is that a 3 or a 4?
Well,
because 5 is like kind
5
of
is in the middle of 10 point
yeah,
scale.
yeah.
Okay, probably a 4.
Probably a 4. Okay, so we can kind of come back to that later if you'd like and see if there's a. So is there anything that you do in your actions, because now we're going into the world of action, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't quite reflect this 4, that's maybe more over there?
I suppose a big one would be eating meat, wouldn't it? I think this is where this is going.
Yeah, basically. Well, of course, there are many ways we don't...
Using products that are tested on animals would be another one.
Yeah, or going to rodeos.
Yeah, going to rodeos.
Something like that.
I wouldn't say I actively first-party engage in animal cruelty.
Yeah, okay. So, but for you, you're kind of hit... Do you think you're at a 4 right now because you know that you do eat animals? Is that kind of like, because that's the first thing you went to, do you think if you didn't do it, say that went away, do you think you would change where you are?
Do you think if I didn't eat meat, I would consider animals to be more sentient?
Would you be somewhere else on that scale?
It's
of like, I should consider them.
It's difficult to say, right, because the argument you can make is that I don't allow myself to be at the end of the scale because then I'm going to have to confront my cognitive dissonance
that could be an
allowing
option.
myself to eat aliens and animals. But I don't think I would be more towards that scale if I eat animals.
So you don't think, based on your behaviour, you don't think that's kind of guiding. You think you have the belief anyway, and then you just act a certain way. Okay. So why do you think you're over here more than you're over there?
I suppose I do have to accept that animals, they're not just simple, I think they're pretty clearly not simple automata. Or if you do accept the simple automata, you can't really accept that humans aren't. I think you sort of have to surrender the idea that if we don't have free will, animals don't have free will, but if we do have free will, animals have some sort of free will as well.
Yeah, so basically, it sounds like you're saying, I kind of have to be over here because there isn't some sort of significant difference between the humans and other animals. We're having.
I think there are important significant differences, but I don't think they're to the level where you can say they're just completely non-entities.
It's like we can't pretend they don't have feelings or they don't. Yeah, we can't.
But also, I think this goes back to my first comment of it really depends on the animal, right? Because I think some animals, very simple life forms.
Yeah, no, I have nerve ganglia or something like that instead of. Well, so I think to kind of see precisely the action. Obviously, I don't know how much you interact with animals with nerve ganglion. Yeah. So let's just say the animals you do eat. Yes. So I'm guessing maybe cow, chickens, pigs.
Chicken.
Yeah. Okay, so just assuming you don't think that, to eat an animal, you pay someone, they breed them into existence, they farm them, and then they send them to a slaughterhouse, right? That's usually the process. I'm assuming say if the animal became a human, you wouldn't think that that's morally acceptable, right? So if you would say you've got group 1 human, group 2 non-human like a cow, chicken or pig, there's got to then be some sort of morally significant difference between those groups that would justify it for them but not for humans. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. What would that be?
It's difficult to sort of quantify, I guess. In a way, I see humans have had like more awareness of their like consciousness existence, and they know they're alive. I'm not sure if an animal has that same.
Oh, like a mirror test sort of thing.
Yes, sort of mirror test sort of thing.
So the problem is with that is that's not exclusive to like the human experience. Not exclusive, rather. That's not universal to the human experience. So some humans don't have self-awareness, and at one point in our lives we didn't have it while we were sentient, right? So I assume you wouldn't say if a human's not self-aware, they lack self-awareness in some way, you don't then think it would be acceptable morally to put them in the position of the pig, cow or chicken, right?
I think there are certain cases where someone's in a vegetative state where you could say it's morally okay to say cut their life support, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of like a different question. So like, say for example, I don't think humans have self-awareness until they're 3 years old, right?
Sure.
So
that self-awareness is almost universally developed by a human.
Almost.
You can say that this almost definitely will be a being that will develop self-awareness.
Yeah,
which is sort of different from a being that will never develop self-awareness, I would say.
You can know through some like cognitive conditions and know that they're going to have a cognitive condition that may mean that they don't develop that.
Yeah.
For me, at least, what I'm trying to get is you take that away from a human. I still morally value the human. I don't then think you can have a human farm or like that you could human farm those individuals. So I wouldn't see it as a morally significant difference. And it sounds like even if you took that away from the human, you wouldn't either. Is that the case?
I think it's difficult for us to understand the idea of what taking that away from a human would be or look like, though.
Oh, so just say, for example, because obviously we can't sit here and like look at each individual condition or something like that. Just say you know that a human can't pass a mirror test. They don't really know who they are, but they experience emotions, you know. Do you believe because that's gone from them that it would be justified to put them in the position of the cow?
I suppose I would feel uncomfortable doing that, yeah.
Would feel uncomfortable, okay. Would you say...
But it's difficult to sort of draw a more consistent line between that and the cow, I would.
Well, can you expand on that?
Well, I would concede the point that I would be difficult to say why I would be uncomfortable eating the cow versus not eating that human.
I guess it's trying to distinguish. It's not really so much about like the discomfort. It's kind of more about like, would you look at that act and think I'm morally opposed to that?
I think I would. But it would be difficult for me to justify that moral opposition in the context of me being morally okay with eating animals.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But so then if you wouldn't find that morally acceptable, even though, so let's kind of like analyze what we've done here.
Yeah.
We've got 2 groups. We've said it's justified to do that to them because they lack this ability.
Yes.
But then we take the ability away from that group as well, but it's still not okay. So to me, it seems like there's got to be, maybe that's not the difference, or maybe there's other differences on top of it that would make it justified for them. So like, it's like a good example is, say you have like a human and a table.
Yeah.
And someone asks what's the morally significant difference between the human and the table that would justify kicking it. The table's not sentient, right?
Yeah.
So there's a clear thing, and you know, you take a sentience away from a human, like you were talking about, like, oh, someone's in a state where they're not going to come back, they're not even aware, like people pulled the plug, right? Or it might be bad to kick them, but it's for some extrinsic value, just like the table, like it belongs to a human, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just would probably say it's like we're still trying to work out what the morally significant difference would be in that specific group. Do you have other ones?
That's the main one that comes to mind.
Okay. Because it's interesting, because this is what led me to be vegan, basically. 12 years ago, I was like, I can't really think why that would be okay. I'm like, what is it about a pig that's like, oh, it's fine to do that, because then like anything I want to like kind of plug in, it's going to be like, I'm not going to then find it acceptable if I did that, like a human had that or lacked that,
Yeah.
So I think that's where it's interesting. I don't want to like dwell on the point too much and
Sure.
overdo it, but I think this is why we're here today.
Yeah.
I think essentially using animals and not being here, I think that's kind of socially drilled into us and we just accept it. But then when we actually kind of challenge it, it's hard to challenge and be
it
like,
is.
yeah. And I don't want to really engage in things I would have a hard time wrapping my head around and trying to give an argument for. So that's why I was like, I need to just change my... But yeah, so the question is, if you find when you come away today and you're like, no, I actually can't find an argument, like you could maybe think it over, I don't know, maybe there's something, would you see yourself being someone who would be vegan?
I don't know.
You don't see
I
yourself?
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Here I am telling you this. I think it's one of those things that seems really fringe and strange as well,
Yeah.
like to people.
I think people see it as like difficult as well.
Yeah, which
do you find it difficult?
No. The only thing I find difficult about being vegan is, unfortunately, people are kind of mean about it.
Sure.
And you kind of bring it up even when it's relevant, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, how do you know someone's vegan?" They'll tell you. Now, obviously, I advocate and I do bring it up more,
Do you
but
think that's their guilty conscience?
yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of it is that, and that's hard to deal with because it's, it's like, well, that's your own to deal with,
Yeah.
But it's not like you can go to Aldi and get vegan burgers, and my partner and I, we think that they're like the best burgers we've ever had. I don't know what it is about them. I don't know what they put in them. But yeah, you can go on Tesco. I don't know, is there a supermarket of choice that you like?
Sainsbury's, I guess.
Sainsbury's. Oh my God, they even have vegan chocolate raisins. They do a good free from range. You can literally search, I don't know if you have the app, but search the word vegan. You'll find vegan salad cream. I like Sainsbury's for vegan stuff. So it becomes, obviously, anytime you're habit shifting, it seems difficult. But I would say, like, if you take this card, there are ways to learn more and try it for a time to see what the behaviours a vegan might do.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, like, you were a 4, weren't you?
Yeah.
Do you think you are anywhere else?
I think I'm still a 4.
Still a 4, yeah. I would expect. I don't think people move in a day,
No.
to be honest. Our ideas do shift, but it takes time, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's very rarely a sort of epiphany.
No,
Like
but
that. Was that like for you?
it was an
Oh, okay.
epiphany for me, yeah. And because I was making a music video for a punk band in my local area for
Yeah.
school, and I was like, okay, well, I'd like to find out what the lyrics mean, and they were like, oh, it's about farming, factory farming specifically. So then I looked into factory farming, and then I found the dairy industry, and then I realized, oh, it's not just eating animals, it's like using them for anything. And it was the hypocrisy of these guys, because they weren't vegan. They'd
Yeah.
taken me to go get burgers, and I was like, why are you even singing about this? And I was like, why am I even annoyed at them? I'm not vegan. And then, yeah, it was a total epiphany. I went vegan. I didn't even know what I was going to eat, what I was going to do, where I was going to go, but it just had to happen in that moment. So, but I understand that's not how these changes happen. When you look at anything you believe now, or how you behave now, that, it's a muscle, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess I've got sort of a question
Yeah.
for you. How would you feel about eating a human if they had explicitly consented to being eaten?
Yeah, so when you put the consent, I think for some people it's a philosophical argument of it's not like a healthy thing.
I'm not saying
to-
that I'm not going down.
Yeah.
The animals presumably do not consent.
Yeah, they can't
yeah.
consent. They're what you'd call a moral patient. So, but yeah, if you have a moral agent human, I just don't know. It's hard because it's like it goes into the argument of can you be a moral agent if you want someone to eat you? But assuming they are,
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think.
if they're dying, they die of natural causes otherwise.
Yeah,
It's
and
in
then they've
but it's
done it
their
in their
dying
will.
wish.
There's their dying wish. Please, it would make me so happy.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have a moral problem with someone doing it, but
Okay.
I haven't eaten flesh for so long.
Yeah.
I think I would be ill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't find an immediate like, oh my God, that would be so wrong.
Sure. But I think the idea so makes you feel uncomfortable
Yeah,
Because I think
that's
that
the thing.
there is a moral stigma.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is there is a moral stigma in eating people specifically.
Yeah.
And is it that moral stigma that we have in that situation where it's a vegetative state person who is the same as the cow? Are we just saying that we have that moral stigma with eating people? And that's what's the difference between the cow
I'm
and
just,
the vegetative
yeah,
state
I'm just
human is.
confused because I said yes to someone who gave consent.
Sure.
So, but say if someone was in that state,
Yeah.
they couldn't consent to
No,
that,
no, no,
never told,
no, no.
then yeah, I would have a problem with
Sure,
that.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm saying everyone
Yeah.
on that state as well.
But yeah, it's trying to
I say that
analyze.
I think people still have uncomfortable in the consent state.
Mm-hmm.
So and that is the presence of that dish. There's a more stigma at the level of eating humans under these circumstances, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's trying to distinguish between discomfort and immoral.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that can make someone uncomfortable that aren't immoral. It's like, I think, I'm gay. People find gay people uncomfortable to be around, but then sometimes they put the discomfort that they feel and they inject it into morality.
Yes.
So it's trying to find that difference. Here, this is just talking about like an applied ethic. So, but yeah, there are things. People do a lot of hypotheticals to say, look, you're going to feel uncomfortable with this, but can you actually find a moral justification?
Yeah.
And the answer is no. So, but yeah, in this discussion, do you think that if you have two possible worlds, right?
Yeah.
You have possible world A, animals are, it's more like here, this is what people believe, this is how they behave, they're not exploited.
Sure.
Or possible world B, it just kind of carries on as it is, where, trillions of animals are like killed every single year, or exploited every single year as well. Which world would you say is more moral?
I mean, definitely world A.
World A.
Yeah.
Well, you know how it is, like, if you want to see a specific world, the first person you have to, like, get to, like, be on board is you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if the way we'll eventually see that world is just through via growing the vat meat.
Yeah, the lab grown.
Lab grown.
Probably, because then
Yeah.
obviously
Because then people don't have to change their behaviour, right? Or at least-
that's the thing, people don't want to change.
There will be people who still insist on
Yeah.
having the animal grade meat, but I think at that point, definitely I can morally justify.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will be the same. I imagine it will become very specialist and eventually probably illegal
Yeah,
to
that's the thing.
lay down
Like,
for their meat.
someone said earlier they were annoyed at the concept of vegans forcing their views, but then we asked them, like, what could we do in order to get you to stop? And they said only the law. So it's like, so you're telling us that the only way you'll stop is if you're forced to
Yeah.
by legal systems. So it's like, well, no
I think
wonder.
that's probably true for the majority of people.
Unfortunately. But yeah, I think it's like a lot of the time people haven't thought through why they do something. And of course, even if you're quite thoughtful about your own decisions, I think there can always be things where it's like, oh no, I wasn't conscientious about that. And I think the vegan ethic discussion is where it trips people up, and it's because we're, as you say, it's so like you said before, it's everywhere, right? Is that something that you said, like that you can get that access? I don't know if you said that.
I don't think I said this.
No, sorry. I've had like 6 conversations.
That's fine.
But no, my point then is that it is accessible to do something that actually is less moral,
Yeah.
and I find completely immoral, and doesn't reflect this one here, but. You're a 4.
Yeah.
I'm a 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there any further questions you had?
No, I don't think so. So you're 1. Would you say, and then you always say human life is equivalent to animal life?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
no. And I don't think I value individuals like that.
Sure.
But
I mean, it gets morally weird.
yeah, I can't really make like calculations of levels. That's not.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how my brain works. But I think where people get tripped up is you could literally value a human more than another human. Like you could value your best friend, a family member, your loved one, more than you could another human. And does that mean in a burning building you save your loved one before anyone else? Yeah. But it doesn't mean that the human you value less than that other human. That doesn't mean it's justified to exploit them.
No.
And I think people think, oh, well, I value this one less, therefore we're here in the danger zone. And I'm like, well, how have we got there?